Hello, hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? I think you guys can hear me. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Let me just sort this thing out. Happy Friday. Friday, Sunday. I hope everybody is well. Hmm. Let me get my camera on. Okay. How's everybody's weekend been? Hmm, is that working? I think it's working now. Calm, relaxed, chill, peaceful. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. I've been well. I've been well. Sundays are amazing days for like family, relax, chill, and yeah, church, all of that stuff, and then preparing yourself for the week ahead. Obviously, you know, the one thing I'm gonna say is that it doesn't really matter if it's a weekend or not, right? At the end of the day, it comes down to is a continuous thing, right? Like you can probably see I'm very, very tired, right? But I have my weekends, yes, I have maybe a little bit more of a sleep, probably an hour or two. But nine times out of ten, it's not a thing where I'm like chilling, right? Because this will probably lead into the lesson as well, is that you have to understand that you need to stay hungry. Okay. You have to stay hungry in this game. And I'll give you examples shortly. Let me just read this. Been catching up with some admin stuff, house cleaning, washing, food, shopping. Amazing. Today, a party with Avery. Uh, it says Zoom user, so I don't really know who Zoom user is. I think this is Kaya, right? Because that's your daughter's name. Um, did journey self reflection this AM all day night preparation. Okay, it's good. Right. So basically, what I'm saying is that you need to stay hungry, guys. Right. It's so important to stay hungry. Okay. Um, and I'll give you reasons to why you need to continue staying hungry. I've been in situations where I've made some money, right? And to be honest, it's not even just making money, right? It's more the fact of you get to a position and you make some money, right? Let's just say, for example, you go from 1K to to 3K, 4K, 5K, let's say, or even 10K. In your mind, in your head, you're gonna be like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I've just literally went from this amount to this amount, and you're looking at it like it's a big amount when really and truly it's not a big amount. Okay, so you need to get back into your thoughts and understand that this is just the journey. It is what it is, and you gotta stay hungry, right? And I remember there was a time I made some decent money. Okay, I made some decent money. I always talk about my journey, right? So when I'm talking about I made some decent money, I'm talking about the journey maybe 3 years ago. Okay, I made some good money, and then I thought, okay, time to chill. Let me chill, right? And that chilling period really messed the consistency. It messed me being on form, right? So you have to stay hungry. regardless if you make 300K today, £50 tomorrow, whatever, you need to stay hungry. This is so important, because when you are being consistent, right? And then you decide to just chill for a bit, you lose that consistency, right? You lose that consistency to a point where you need to rebuild back that consistency. It's like I say, an upward spiral or a downward spiral, right? The markets, they don't care for you, right? You need to be on top of everything every single day. Doesn't mean you need to go and trade every single day, but what does it mean? It means that you need to be able to understand and know what's going on, right? Before, what have I mentioned? Please reply in the chat. What have I mentioned about pairs? What do pairs need to be to you? Kaya, sorry, I don't know why you're not showing up. Yes, I know. I knew it was you. So that I saw that a broke friend of mine today showed me 2 million crypto wallet. I saw a small boy. I'm not resting till January. Right, your babies. Okay, perfect, cool. So you need to look at your pairs as your babies, your children. Right now, I'm not gonna say you have a favorite child, right? Because that's unfair, right? But deep down, you have a favorite child, right? Naturally, we're human beings. We've got to be real with ourselves, right? If I've got one daughter, right, she's my favorite child because I went through everything with her, and that's the first child I've ever had. So if I have more children in the future, my daughter will always be my my favorite, regardless, right? Cool. Yeah, exactly. Gold's your baby. She's wild, but I love her 100%. So you have that love, that passion for a pair, right? Just like how you would have love and passion for a child. Okay. So what does that mean, right? That means that you need to be able to understand where the market is, right? If someone says to me, bro, I trade GBP CAD, I'll be like, what's the price of GBP CAD? Where's it right now? Without looking at your charts, without looking at anything, where is the price right now? Right? Someone says to me, where's gold right now? I'll say it's around 4,200, just probably below or above by a couple of pips, right? Because I know exactly where my child is. I know exactly what my child is doing, right? So if you are out here trading 10 different types of pairs, how are you going to know where every single price is unless you got some what do you call it, that memory where you can see something one time and you know exactly what's going on, right? So it's so important to really be hungry, but be hungry with smartness. You can't just be hungry and being stupid, right? For example, I'll give you a perspective, right? When you look at these crackheads on the street or these homeless people, I'm not saying it in a bad way, but you see certain homeless people, and then these homeless people, there's categories, right? There's certain categories. There's certain people, certain homeless people who really got down and out. Something serious happened, and they're on the streets and they're trying to get their feet back up, right? They're hungry, right? They're hungry. They need to get some food. They might ask you for money, so on and so forth, right? But they'll use that money to good use to get food. Whereas you get certain homeless people who turn to crackheads, right? They're still hungry, but they want to just hit the next. They want to just get the next hit, right? They don't even care about hunger, right? They just want that next hit. Okay, so they're hungry for the hit, right? These guys are hungry because they want to stay alive, they want to maintain their health, but they're also trying to get back up, right? So when I'm talking about being hungry, I'm not saying go and be hungry and look for every single things on the charts, but be hungry for your journey, be hungry for your future, where you want to go, what you want to achieve. All of these things are super important for your growth. okay? And understanding that pair like your child, right? So things get a lot easier, right? Don't get me wrong. Things get easier by back testing and looking at these things on the charts on the weekend and even taking certain trades. Things get a lot easier, right? But it's that repetition. By you being hungry, it's that repetition of you doing correct things well. By you doing correct things well, you're going to get results on the charts. It's going to make you want to indulge in this even more, right? So fall in love with that pair. Fall in love with how it moves, or how that behavior is. Like, for example, I can't hate my daughter if she's a wild child, right? That's my child. Why am I gonna hate on my child? Okay, so really and truly, right? I'm gonna look at that pair and be like, yo, I know it's a wild pair, but I'm gonna do my very best to understand that pair. I'm gonna stay hungry. I'm gonna stay consistent. I'm gonna stay working hard so that I fully understand this pair. Now, I don't have a problem with anybody trading gold, right? And you're going to trade gold regardless of whether I tell you to trade gold or not, right? But you need to put the work in. You need to, you need to be consistent with it, right? Because the last thing you want is to not be consistent with a pair, right? And is just taking your money, taking your money, taking your money. You're going to lose passion for the game. You're going to lose that hunger, right? So I'm here today to tell you guys, don't lose the hunger, right? I'm telling you, those that last in this game are those that are going to win, right? If you don't take any shots, how are you going to score, right? How are you going to score, right? So you have to take shots, you have to take opportunities, you have to take trades, you have to keep working. How you got to keep on a journey. You got to keep working. It's the most important thing, right? When I was losing, I didn't say to myself, "Oh, I am losing." I said, "Okay, cool. The facts is that I'm losing right now, but what is the facts inside the facts is that I've actually made some money in certain trades." So I use the positive to outweigh the negative, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. I've been in a trade and I've been able to make £100. I've been able to make 150, even £200, right? So if I can just be consistent for a couple of weeks, I'm gonna be up regardless. The maths don't lie. Okay, so it's so important. Um, Yudi said, and treat a particular pair as your wife. 100%. You can definitely do that as well, right? You treat a pair as your wife, you treat a pair as a child, you treat a pair as a family member, or even stronger, you treat a pair like it's your mother. Someone that really means something to you and something in your life, okay? That's what you should class that pair as, right? Yeah, 100%. Now you're opening your brain. Yeah, you can use some pairs as your ex. Like, I hate that pair. To that pair, right? So it's like I'm not trading that. It's like me, GJ. I'm like, I don't GJ. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't care for that pair. Like, do you know what I'm saying? And you know, also it's like Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is like that ex that you still miss, but you don't even really want to get back with her, right? That's Bitcoin, because Bitcoin back in the days I used to trade Bitcoin and it'll suck me. But now I understand it. I can trade it, and it's like it's great, right? It's great. It's like that ex that you're not together. You don't even want nothing to do with her, whatever. But if you see her on a night out, you know what I mean? It's kind of like that, right? So treat your pairs as relationships, right? If you have a pair, you treat it as like, yo, this is my mother pair, right? You're gonna treat that pair with respect. You're gonna make sure you understand everything about that pair, right? Might give you flowers someday, right? Yes, someday it might piss you off, but okay, cool, it is what it is, right? I hope everybody is understanding exactly what I'm saying. Okay, moving on to the next bit. Have you guys got your partners set up? Obviously, we are missing Pragma, but it's cool. I hope that all of you guys are able to give him his condolences because he has lost a family member. So whoever is with Pradmot right now, I understand that it might be a bit difficult, but he's a hard worker. He puts in the work, so I'm sure he's not gonna have any days off, right? But cool. Make sure that you guys are following with the plan, right? I don't want anyone and listen, you're allowed to snitch, right? You're allowed to snitch. I'm gonna say right in front of you and look at you in the camera. You are allowed to snitch. If your partner is not putting in the work, snitch. Okay? Please snitch. You're allowed. You're allowed to snitch. Okay? I think I have a message and I feel like it's not the right time. No, you can. You can message him. You'll be fine because this is the program, right? Time waits for nobody, right? And yes, send the condolences, and then get back to work, right? Because I'm telling you, Pramot is a G on the charts, right? He's putting in the work, so he will reply to you guys. He will reply to you, okay? And this is another thing that I will also talk on while we're talking on these things is that you know we're humans, right? Things are going to occur. Um, ne- Negative things will happen in your life, right? And it's how you move from it. So the one thing that I've understood is that trading has allowed me to be in a position where I can regulate my mindset, right? So yes, you can feel down, you can feel sad, you may lose a family member, which obviously we don't wish for, right? And these are things that really do make you stronger, right? Um, I flipped that 100k, £100 to 100k because I lost my nan, right? I lost my nan and he affected me quite a lot, right? But I didn't allow it to affect me on my charts, right? I allowed it to give me energies that you cannot receive on a day-to-day basis. Okay. So, we have to use negative situations and turn it into positive. Okay, feel the emotions, feel how you feel, right? Understand where you are. Don't get in the charts if you are really down, right? If you feel really down and bad and stuff. But for me, I always see it's like the chart is going to move regardless. Whether I'm in the charts or not, it's going to move, right? I know I'm feeling this way, but I'm not going to allow it to make me make a negative decision on the charts. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use it to a positive and pay respect to that family member. Pay respect to the fact that, I'm putting something to this goal or I'm putting something to this trade or something like that. And you would understand that it gives you so much more energy and so much more power, right? Of course, when I flipped the £100 to 100k, I did go with some bigger risks, right? But I was like, yo, I'm doing this for my nan. I'm making sure that, you know, I'm gonna get to that 100k, right? Because when I started it, it was pretty much obviously nothing happened, and then like I think it was like a couple of days in, my nan passed away, and I went from like £100 to like 5k, and then like within the same trade, and it went all the way to 10k, and then it came back down towards 5k, 4k, and I was like, look, I'm gonna close this out, and I'm gonna go again because this is something that's really, really serious for me, right? From 4K or 5K, went straight to 15. From 15, went straight to 30. From 30, went straight to 50. From 50, went straight to 100, right? So I was really, really locked in. So you use certain things that is going to occur in your life as a power of energy, right? A boost that's going to allow you to get up. Now, think of it in this way. This is a boost and energy and power within your brain, right? Within your mindset, right? What do people do, right? And you can answer me in the chat. What do people do when they want a bit of energy? Okay, let's say they're going to the gym, right? Or they wake up, they feel sluggish, or they're going for a run, or they want to do something. What do people normally do to enhance their improvement, right? Obviously, you've got positives and negatives, right? But what can you guys tell me in the chat? What do people do in terms of physical, right? In terms of physical, what do they do? Affirmation is more mindset, right? Play sports. No, okay, cool. You can play sports, but what do people do to enhance their 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 their, their abilities, right? Warm up, okay, we can have that. Okay. What I'm looking more for is this, right? I'm looking more for like meditations, the all mindset, like gym, sauna, you can talk about, okay, that's going to potentially help you become better in a situation. But let's just say, for example, Red Bull. Why do people drink Red Bull, right? Why do people drink coffee? Why do people take like these enhancement drugs, right? That's for now. That's for I'm taking this drink. I want to feel some type of energy, right? And for me, I don't even like coffee. I don't even drink coffee, right? For me, I don't even take any drugs to enhance any of my abilities, because what do I know? I know that this is the most powerful tool in the world, right? There was a study that there's a certain amount of people who who enhanced their grew muscles, right? They grew muscles. I think it was within a 2 week period, by just thinking about them growing muscles, right? It's how powerful our mind is, right? And it's insane. Like, yeah, Red Bull is dangerous, 100%. Red Bull, all these other things. Like, there's so many things that can harm you, right? But people do drink Red Bull to stay awake, to have that little bit of a buzz or whatever it does. People drink coffee for that. Some people smoke, right? Some people do. There's so many different things that people do in order to enhance their situation, right? In things like in like boxing and stuff, they take loads of different types of drugs, right? What's this question? So you don't think affirmation and meditation helps? Of course it does. That's what I was just saying, right? I don't believe in these other things, right? Because it's a mindset thing. So, for example, coffee, right? I understand there's some benefits to coffee, make some people act a certain way or whatever, right? But after a certain time of you drinking coffee every single day, right? It's you don't feel nothing from it, right? Do you not think that it's the mindset? It's the mind that's actually triggering to you thinking, because you're drinking this thing, right, or this coffee, you think in your it's like sending signals to your brain, and your brain sending signals to your body that you feel a type of way, right? I've had coffee and felt nothing, and I don't drink coffee, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Why are people so hyped up about this, right? So it's like your body telling you that you need it, but in fact, you don't actually need it. Everything is coming from your mind, right? So that's why I've just explained within that situation of there was a study of they put a certain amount of people in a situation, and all they was thinking about was growing muscles, getting bigger muscles, or muscles growing, and they grew their muscle mass 13%. They grew it by 13%. They didn't even go to the gym, right? They was just thinking about it, right? So what I'm trying to say to you guys is that you can actually, you know, yes, use affirmations and use all of these things, right? But in order for you to go from one level to another level, it requires action. I can't just say to myself, right, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be rich, and have no actions, right? Yes, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be rich, right? And I'm doing the actions. I'm doing the actions. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be doing the actions, right? So affirmations are something where you are making yourself believe in the things that you believe in, but it's also important for you to do the work. Because if you don't do the work, yes, it's dead. It's super, super dead, right? But the thing is like this, right? It's not even the fact that like you thinking about I want to be rich, I want to be rich. Everybody thinks they want to be rich, right? Everybody wants to be rich, right? Or have a certain level of money where they can look after themselves, their family. So it doesn't necessarily mean be rich, but they just want to have money, right? So this is the thing. You can think it, right? But what when you're thinking I want to be rich and you're meditating and you're doing these affirmations, what's your brain actually going to tell your body? Go and work, right? Because your brain knows that in order to get to that situation, you've got to do something to get to there. So it's telling your body, go and work, go and work. Your brain is like your computer. It's like, okay, cool. Want to be rich, want to be rich, want to be rich. Sends messages, go and work, do this, do that, work, do this, do this, do that. And what's happening is a lot of people are getting distracted by social media, distracted about what the next person is doing, distracted about bits and bobs, right? Allowing their situation to not allow them to work, right? So what actually happens is that your brain knows that you want to be rich, and your brain is telling your body, no, listen, like let's be rich then. But then your body is not allowing you to do it because you're being lazy, right? So that's the only difference between someone that becomes rich and someone that stays where they are, is because of that action, right? Your brain's already telling you do the action. Your brain's already probably telling you, okay, let's just say, for example, you want to become rich and you don't know what to do, da 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 da, right? And let's say you're heavily on social media, right? You're gonna keep coming across maybe ads, maybe business ideas, maybe someone doing something and saying, yo, jump on my thing, learn this, learn that. You're going to be seeing these things, right? But then it's like, are you going to take action on that, right? That's the most important thing, right? So, guys, we've done a lot of lessons, right? And I really do want you guys to keep going through them. The things that you've not looked at or you still need to work on, you need to make sure that you are going back and reading it and writing it down on your journal. This is super, super important, right? I want you guys to actually grow. Remember what I said. Listen, this is the first week of December, right? First week of December, right? And we're still very much early in December. So don't be out here thinking, oh yeah, no. Listen, it starts now. 2026 starts now. I don't want anyone getting into 2026 and absolutely didn't learn anything from this, right? I believe in working smart and not hard, right? This is the reason why my journey has gone from different levels of trading, right? From scalping to intraday to swing to long term. Because I'm like, yo, I'd rather just work smart. I understand that there's going to be consolidation in the market. I understand there's going to be fluctuation in the market, right? I've been able to work hard, build up some money. I'm a bit more chill now. So I'm like, yo, I would rather work hard, work smart, find a pair, find a trade that's going to give me a decent amount of pips, right? My risk to reward is going to be good. I'm going to jump on that and then I'm going to be good, right? Because I'm being patient with it, right? So I started to work smart, and this is what I need you guys to start doing: work smart, right? Understand where you are in your journey, whether you're going to be interested, whether you're going to be scalping, right? Whether you're going to be long term, right? You need to make sure that you know exactly what you're doing, right? Understand your journey. This is the most important thing, right? I don't want anyone to not know what they're doing. Now, trading a pair like gold, right? I've mentioned this before. You need to have different personalities, all right? You need to have different personalities. You can't trade gold and not have different types of personalities. This is super important, right? Why? Because you see gold, 1 minute it will be doing this, the next minute it'll be doing that, the other minute it'll be doing this, and you're going to be thinking, yo, what the hell is actually going on, right? So, in order for you to grow as a gold trader, right, you need to understand that I am first a gold trader. 2, I understand that the market can do anything at any time. 3, understand how you can adapt to the market and the market conditions and doing it very fast, right? And that's how you're going to be able to make money. There's some days where you have to scalp, right? There's some days where you have to intraday, and there's going to be some days where you will have to swing, right? So this is the reason why I'm an open book. I don't just go off, okay, because I swing or I do long-term trading, that's exactly what I'm just going to do. No, I see what the market tells me. I see the information that it tells me. I understand if we are in a range, I'm going to be ranging within that situation. And let's be honest, right? Gold gives you 100 pips each day without fail. You're gonna be able to make money every single day. You just got to make sure you are the right side of the market, and you've watched it well and you've understood the journey in order to make money, right? It could be that your journey is that every single day you're just going to make sure that you catch 100 pips, right? If the market is going to keep continuing above that 100 pips, is making sure that you're locking in 100 pips, right? Start being hungry. Start saying, I want to make money, right? I am money. I grow money, right? Start channeling in within that 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 thing that you always think about. Okay. There's honestly, guys, there was a time where I said, no, man, I can't keep losing, right? I can't keep losing. And this is what a lot of you guys are not actually thinking. You're not thinking, okay, well, I'm done. I can't keep losing, right? I can't keep losing. I need to change something here, right? We talk about looking in the mirror all the time, right? I mean, you know, if you take care of yourself, you're gonna look in the mirror, right? But you always look in the mirror. Let's say if you're a lady, you're gonna look in the mirror, I'll sort your hair out, sort this out, or whatever, right? As guys, also you might be doing your hair or you might be doing something, putting cream on or whatever. You always look in the mirror, but look further. Look at where you are. Look at where you want to go. Don't just look in the mirror and just sort out your features or whatever, right? Make sure that you are also looking in the mirror and be like, yo, am I the person that I want to be? Right? If it's no, right, understand why it's no, right? Also, take self-care in yourself, right? You are in this journey, right? And it's going to take some time, but it doesn't need to take a long time, right? Trust me, what I'm teaching you, you don't need to take a long time to get to where it is that you want to get to. And you'll be surprised that even just getting to 10K, you're going to be relieved, right? You're going to feel so much pressure lifted off your shoulders, right? And you have to remember, it's not necessarily that you need to get to 100K or 50K, right? You just need to get to 5K, get to 10K, and before you know it, you're going to feel so relieved, right? And it's easy to get to these stages, right? Like I've said to you, in 2-3 months you can get to 5K, 10K, right? By consistently taking profits, by consistently winning, by consistently journaling, by consistently having a plan, understanding where it is that you're going to go. So when I was losing, I had to make a plan. I had to say, no, enough is enough. What's my P&L saying? My P&L is saying that, bro, you're losing a lot, right? Red here, red here, red here, £10, this, minus all of this. I'm like, yo, I'm going to reverse engineer this. I'm just going to literally make what I've been losing. Let's say it's average. You can do even average. Say it's an average of £8, 10, 8 between $8 to $20. So I'm like, yo, I'm scalping the hell out of the market, and I'm making sure that each time I get into a trade, I'm getting above $10, right? Easy, right? If you do that for a longer period of time, you're going to get your money back in no time. And then you're going to be more up, because now you have confidence. Now you know you're doing something that actually works, right? And then when you even get to certain positions, you may be able to actually put your money where your mouth is. Okay? So, does everybody understand what I am saying? Okay? Today we're not going to do a long session. It's Sunday. I like to really chill out Sunday before the market opens. But what I want to talk about very quickly is just DXY. Same again, we're going to look at Forex calendar, because we need to see what's actually happening this week. And then from then on, we are going to be good. Okay. We've spoken a lot about the charts and how you can go and look for trades, and how you can be patient, how you can plan your trades, right? If a trade setup, right, is, let's say, 50 pips away from my entry, and I know before I even get into this entry, I need to make sure that this market is creating structure, right? And then breaks a trend or breaks a level of psychological resistance, and now support, and now becomes resistance. I need to also wait market to get back to that level, and I need to wait for confirmation. Then I need to wait for them extra confluences and them extra changes of structure in a smaller time frame, right? So there's still a plan, and there's still levels that you need to do and things that you need to wait for to happen before you can even get into that trade, right? Now with gold, it's so much easier because we can get into so many trades, right? Because the market is very volatile. But it doesn't mean that you just get into any trade. It means that you have to wait for the market to actually do something, right, that we normally look for in order for us to get into a trade. Okay. Same way as if you're gonna go shopping, you're not just gonna go shopping and be like, oh, I'm just going shopping. Right? You're gonna go food shopping and understand what it is that you need to buy. Okay. Cool. So let's start off with okay, let's start with sharing my screen. I don't know why this has gone all the way back to 2024. Okay. Share my screen. Bada ba bam. Boom. Let me know when you guys can see my screen. Today is the Can you guys see my screen? Okay, cool, perfect. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, cool. So what we want to do is we want to start off with this area here, which is Forex calendar. Okay, so we know what it is that we need to look for the following week, right? So we can see, I don't think there's anything on the Monday. The 8th, let's go on the 8th. There's nothing on the 8th on a Monday, right? So Monday could be, especially if you trade gold, Monday can be a market could actually be volatile on a Monday, right? Because there's so many, it's just loads of retail traders. There's not really any news that's going to tell you or give you like crazy pressures of volatility. But the market could already start volatile because there's a lot of people just taking trades. Okay. So Monday, when there's no setups, be a little bit mindful, but understand that there will still be volatility, right? The market will probably want to push in a direction, and you need to obviously wait for your confirmations before you enter. Okay. Now, Tuesday, we've got AUD. Now, remember what I talk about when it comes to AUD, right? AUD news does impact gold a little bit, right? You might see some volatility because AUD it's let me just put it in here so you guys can see. Okay. And what we're gonna put in what's the correlation? What is it in? What's Australia got to do with gold? Right. So as you can see, Australia has a deep connection to gold through its transformative gold rushes. Right. So you can see here which fueled population booms and national identity, making it a major global gold producer today. Right. So they're a big gold producer, right, which obviously is going to affect gold, right? If you guys want to read more on it, you can go and read more on it. But this is something that I learned back in the days when I was like trading gold, and then Asian sessions, something crazy would happen. I'm like, yo, what the hell is going on? And then I would look at news and be like, yo, there was AUD news. And I'm like, why? What's AUD got to do with gold? And I realized, right, that they are a major global gold producer, right, in Australia. So this allows you to understand. Obviously, this is just the first initial AI response, but you can go down. You can, read into this. Why is gold so important in Australia? So on and so forth. Okay. Now you're telling me you love to trade gold, and and this your baby and is your pair, and you don't know this, right? So this is why education is so important. This is why you have to understand that learning is something that's going to keep you pushing up and going to the next level, right? So it's something that you can do. You can go and watch, go and read, you can go and look at that. Okay. So when I see gold, I mean AUD news, especially at 3:30 a.m. Or like in the night, I know that we can get a potential move inside of uh, gold, gold pair. Okay. Now look, Tuesday we've got jolts, right? Job opening. So this is going to be volatile, right? It's going to be volatile on Tuesday, right? So with this, now remember, it's not facts, but I'm just thinking, okay, if we've got a gold AUD news on in the morning at that time, can this mean that this market will push to an area where then when this news occurs at 3 p.m., that the market might obviously retrace or decide to go the opposite way? Who knows? But just know that you've got important news on Tuesday. AM, you gotta just wait and see. You might not be on the charts, but what you might do is you might wake up early just to see how that market moves. If this time is like a night time for you guys. I mean, yeah, nighttime. If it's like daytime or evening time, then you'll be able to see it. Obviously, you can see this here is pretty much like every like the whole day, right? So anything can happen where the market could decide to just be volatile for any specific time, right? But it doesn't really do too much. But you just got to be a little bit aware on it, okay? But jolts at 3 o'clock is super important. So I'm looking at this and being like Tuesday Asian session might be a little volatile. Then New York session is going to be very volatile. Okay, we move on to Wednesday. We don't have anything on. Well, we do have at 7 o'clock. We've got FOMC, right? Now, because we've got FOMC on what's it called on Wednesday, Tuesday may be just a day that the market is like just volatile and just going up and down, right? Like Monday could start very bullish or bearish. Let's just be honest. Monday can start like, or market open can start very bullish or very bearish, right? But it's gonna do something where it's going to push or push down, right? Whatever the market does. Obviously, we got to look back at the date of what the charts is saying, which we are still around that 4,200 level. We are still above that area of that trend line, right? So really and truly, what we want to see is we want to see bullish pressure from the morning, from market open, for the market to obviously do something crazy to like push up, like throughout Asia and so on and so forth, right? And then we want to see consolidate, right? And then we've got Jolts opening on the 3 o'clock on a Tuesday. So we want to see probably the market consolidating and giving us like random pushes and downside movements in this, right? And then that's what that's gonna do is gonna prepare itself for FOMC. Now, the one thing that I sometimes with FOMC, sometimes we don't actually get the releases. Okay. And that's super annoying because you might be in a setup and then you might be scared to get out your setup or scared to stay in your setup. And if FOMC don't even give you any data, right? So for this week, right, you actually need to be very active earlier on in the week. I think this is going to be very important, right? Because of what we've got going on for the rest of the week. Okay. So Thursday, we come to Thursday, we've got unemployment claims, which to be honest, it doesn't really do too much. But yes, it's still a little bit of volatility. 12:30 a.m. You've got AUD news, right? And if you are trading like GBP, USD, and all of that, or like London pairs or forex pairs, then you obviously need to make sure that you are watching the news releases from the days, right? And then on the Friday, we don't have anything, right? So you can see pretty much, I think the moves are going to really occur earlier on in the week, right? Then the end of the week, I don't think anything is going to happen too much, right? Yes, you got an unemployment claim on flipping 1:30 on Friday. I mean on Thursday, but Friday we got nothing, right? So understanding where you are in the market and understanding that we've got these news, really decent news from Tuesday to Wednesday. Thursday we've got a little bit of something, but these Tuesday and Wednesday you're going to see the market potentially move very well, but the move may start earlier on in the week, right? And then obviously this is now towards the following week, right, where you got CPI and so on and so forth. Okay, that's for that. Yeah, so we'll start this, all of this pretty much, right, for next week. I just see pretty much consolidation, right? I see pretty much consolidation just because there's not really much going on. Depending on what the charts does, if we continue being bullish in that uptrend, that then these little trades will just give us more confirmations for our buys if we are in buys, because it will just maybe retrace then continue, retrace then continue. But this week is an important week for you to actually be active on the charts, right? Especially at the start of the week. Okay, so moving on to DXY. Okay, DXY, right? We always, like I said, always want to look at DXY just to see what's actually going on, right? Same again, nothing really changes on DXY, right? Because you have everything on there, right? You got everything on there. You don't need to change too many things, right? And you just need to be able to understand where you actually are in these markets. I'm not gonna go all the way across down here, right, and be like, okay, cool, that's an area of support. Now, like area resistance. Now you can do it if you want to do it, but for me, it's not that deep, man. Like I will just have it as I had it here. I understand that area respects all of this, right? So I know we are that was a consolidation, right? What I actually see is the fact that the market actually did this, right? Stay underneath here, obviously push below. So we had a fake out, and I think this is another fake for it to push back inside of the area and get back towards the top area here, which is why I've got that third point there, right? So nothing changes. I don't see anything that's going to tell me that that has changed. The only information that I have is that that market has actually broke outside of that area of consolidation, right? But for me, because we are in the uptrend, very clean uptrend as well. And it's it's just simple as doing all obviously your 1, 2, 3s and so on and so forth. And the price is at this area of 61.8. We've got a nice, beautiful morning star. That is actually a nice, beautiful morning star, right? It's a beautiful morning star. If we go back down to smaller time frames, we can see that the market has broken out of this trend here, right? This 1, 2, 3 here. I'll probably put this a bit lower here. Go back to a daily, sorry. Right, I can see that we've actually broken out sort of this area, which is obviously nice. But like I said, I like to stay on a bigger time frame, especially when it comes to like when it comes to this DXY, right? And then I'll have like this situation here, right? And I'll see how the market wants to move, right? From these levels, right? If it comes back down towards these areas, these are probably perfect for me to even get to a trade toward the upside, right? As we can see, what's the market doing? Pretty much doing this, right? And then decide to go, right? And that is something where if I understand that this market is pretty much going, now remember, not saying he has to go all the way down here, right? You have to be very mindful of how the market moves because a lot of people, what they will do is they'll just expect the market to go to a certain level and that's it, right? And that's it. Whereas for me, I might go to a smaller time frame because I already know we are in like up in an uptrend, and I understand that the market is creating a high, low, right? This situation here does not affect me, right? I would have like that line, like how it is there, and I'll have this area here, right? Area there. Yes, you've got some more areas right at the bottom, like you got that area there as well, where the market was respecting quite well, right? And I won't even do anything. I'll just watch and see how the market moves from these areas, right? But the beautiful thing is that if this market relaxes down here, right, and then we get a push up and then the market's starting to do this, I will know now how I can use my DXY to pretty much trade Euro USD. Okay? To pretty much trade USD. Look at where the market is right now. The market is pretty much, that's it, right? So if that market then, let's say, what's it called? If XY, go back to DXY. So if DXY does something like this, right, I know that with my Euro USD, this is potentially looking to break and potentially come further down, right? But if the market continues to be bearish, right, I also know where that could potentially go by looking at the time frame. Not that, the weekly, sorry, from the Fibonacci. Okay, cool. That price is respecting that pretty well, right? If this market obviously pushes back above somewhere like up here, right? For me, it's like it doesn't still mean that we can get into the setup and go, you know, to the new highest high. We have to watch these levels here because you have to first break area, then break that area, right? But if the market respects this level quite well and still pushing down, right? I would watch this towards these downsides here. So that will give me more of a perspective on sorry, on Euro USD for that market to potentially break. If it's go down, to break that level to go towards the upside. So that will give me a lot more understanding of what's going on. If that market stays down on DXY, if that market then starts breaking above DXY, if DXY starts to break above, like how I've explained, then I'm going to be looking at USD as like, yo, this is pretty much looking to break underneath, hold these levels, and then decide to come towards the downside here to that area of support. I'm not going to say to you, oh, this market is going to break below it and then go and push it down. No, that's something else that we need to look at after the market actually gets to that level, right? So before the market actually gets to that level, right, like this is respecting, blow down here, and then finally change the structure. That's how I'm going to be looking at DXY, right? So just having that understanding how you can use DXY to your advantage, okay? How you can use it to your advantage. Now, DXY also works with gold, right? It also works with gold, but sometimes gold, because like I said, gold is very special. It's a special pair, right? Gold is a very special pair that, you know, it sometimes does its own thing. So you cannot say to yourself, oh, gold this, gold that, you know, it's not following that rule. No, gold will do its own thing if it wants to do its own thing. But you can also use gold and DXY together to understand what's actually going on. Okay. So yeah, cool. So like I said, Euro USD, it's a very nice pair. Head, shoulder, shoulder.
Good question before you move on.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So you mentioned the correlation of gold, and that was my initial question, which you kind of went over. But is it a negative correlation or positive correlation? Because that's where I sometimes get confused as far as how it works with gold. Like, as far as what it's doing now, it feels like it's positively correlating. But is it sometimes opposite?
Yes,
Like if
100%.
DXY is going down, then gold will be going up and vice versa.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
So that's the
Okay.
thing. Sometimes you'll see that gold and DXY are kind of moving similar. And you think,
Yeah,
huh? And then sometimes it's negative correlation, right? Why
absolutely.
DXY is going up, gold's going down. So that's why for me, I kind of just treat gold as gold,
Yeah, it's a
right?
single pair for the most part. But if
Yeah,
it works out where it's correlated and you can apply that, cool. But it's like, don't let that be your thing that you're counting on.
yeah, 100%. You use it as an extra confluence. So, for example, if I'm like here on DXY and I'm looking at this situation like how it is, wait, it's gone a 4 hour. I'm gonna delete this Fibonacci. So I get carried away. I start drawing lines like this, right? So let's say we are here and we've got this downtrend here, right? What's actually gold doing on like on? Then actually, I want to go on a daily because daily's like actually better, right? So let's just say this breakout here, right? This breakout here. If we go on gold, you can see that we've got kind of like this move here, right? This is going down. I mean, going up, right? With the DXY, it was going down. Do you get me? So this area was going down, gold was going up. So you could have actually identified that DXY was pretty much going down, right? So on gold, it was pretty much going up, right? So this would have been like a correlation, in negative correlation, where it's doing the opposite, right? Now where it is, it's pretty much like DXY has now broken off of that area to decide, like it's broken outside of that area, but gold is pretty much still respecting what it has been doing, right? Yes, we could still come back in here, right, and then continue. That's fine. But for me, I like to treat gold as it is. I'll be honest, when you actually just look at gold simply and just focus on gold how it is, you're going to make a lot more money because you're not overthinking and overacting on certain things, right? Now, what I like to do is I like to treat every pair how they are, right? But DXY works very well with Euro USD, right? DXY works very well with Euro USD, right? We can see for the whole how long it's been in the uptrend, right? However long this market has been moving in a downtrend, right? Now I'm not going to go and calculate the date or calculate, you know, what's been going on here, like since we came back all the way down here, which is May the 11th, right? Well, we can pretty much see that DXY was pushing up, right? Was pushing up, and then Euro was pushing down, right? But what you cannot do is you dissect what's happening with DXY, just like I've just done this situation here, right? If I see a breakout out of here and then the stock market starts to push up, I know Euro USD is gonna want to start pushing down, right? So that will allow me to understand, okay, cool. If we break underneath these zones or this trend line, we may even start seeing the market retrace even further down, right? So for the week or for the day, no, for the week, I can be like, okay, cool. If we do break below here, then we are pretty much going back down here. Well, if we stay above here, the market then is looking to go up, and then that means the DXY is going to want to still respect this level quite well. Okay? So it's about looking at the data, looking at the analysis, and seeing how these markets are doing, right? So we can see all these breakouts occurring here, right? Inverse head and shoulder, didn't do that, came back down. And then here we've got another inverse head and shoulder, right? Or you can do an ascending. So if it breaks down, we can even go further back down. And that will allow me to understand that Euro USD is staying up that zone there. See this area here, break above and push up. Does that make sense? Okay, so remember, I know sometimes it might be confusing, right? That I'm showing you guys so much, right? But the reason I'm showing you guys so much is that you've got ammo, right? You got ammo in your arsenal, right? Where you can be in a trade, or you can be in a place on the charts, but because you've learned something, you can be like, yo, I can apply this here because it makes so much more sense here, right? To apply it, and then you can actually figure out what's actually happening in that chart, right? Now, remember, it's about figuring out what's going on in the charts, and then, right, this ain't even you getting into a trade, right? And then after understanding what's actually going on, then you start adding in your informations that you need to add on, right? So, for example, I'll just give an example here, right? First touch, second touch, right? You move this line and you bang it to, like, you know, where it's perfect, right? I'm just gonna add it a little bit more further up, right? Now weekly time frame is a bit dodgy. Even if you go back to daily, starts to be a little bit more cleaner, where you know, the more you go down, the cleaner it starts to get, right, where we can actually draw perfectly, so on and so forth, right? But we'll just talk based on the weekly time frame. So if I've got my Fibonacci, not my Fibonacci, my 1, 2 here, right? And I can clearly see the market has gone from the lowest point to that area, right? I already know, especially like you'll get here. I don't need to be like, yo, this is gonna start pushing up. No. What do I then do? I need to make sure that I understand this area very well because I know what's supposed to happen. I know that, like, okay, this market's pretty much done a high, low. And now this area needs to change structure and change what's doing in order for me to now get to that trade to go to the high, right? Because that will be that 1, 2, 3. So in the market, sometimes you need to anticipate, but you can't anticipate if you actually don't know what you're doing. So when I talk about that 1, 2, connecting that 1, 2, and then seeing how the market reacts from these areas, it's how you are going to be able to catch a trade to go towards the upside. If you can see this happening in DXY, right, you're going to be able to see that the market is doing pretty much opposite on Euro USD, right? So if that market is going to do that 1, 2, 3 and then do change, right? Obviously changes here, right? Changes here and then decides to blow up. You can already know what's happening, what's going to occur for your next couple of weeks on Euro USD because you already had a 1 and a 2 touch there right at the bottom. Okay. And once you start zooming into these areas here, this is where it's about being patient and waiting to see what the market does, right? So we can see we don't need a flipping, we don't need like to be super smart to understand that that's an area of support, right? So once that market is down here and dancing around here, all I'm doing is make sure I analyze this small area here first, right? I may have the bigger trend, which obviously everybody can see. I may have the bigger trend, but before I even get to the bigger trend of this, right, I need to start identifying what's actually happening down here, right? So, you know, we can see this, this, right? This, right? And then we get a little 1, 2, 3 here. Boom, we're outside of the trend. And then we finally break outside of this zone here, right? That zone there. So for me, I'm going to be like, okay, cool, it's ready to go, right? It's ready to go towards the area and potentially push up. Now, I'm not saying that potentially push up because I'm just saying it. No, I'm saying that it's going to potentially push up because I've got that 1, that 2, and then because this is a 1, 2, and we've got bullish pressures from this area by giving us that basically it's like a descending, but it's not happening, right? It's gonna go and break that 1, 2, 3. Or worst case scenario, it gets to the top of the highest point where it was, right? But because I've got that 1, 2 at the bottom, and I know potentially we've got that 1, 2, 3, my aim is to understand how I can these setups further down here. So I might have stuff like this, right? Stuff like this where I can be like, okay, cool. And remember, this is a weekly time frame, so it's gonna be very, very beneficial for you, right? So got that 1, that 2, that 3, cool. You can have your Fibonacci from there to there. Right? As you're doing this, you're like, yo, you're gonna be doing the same thing on Euro USD, but the opposite way, because you're gonna be seeing that it's also in the range like this, and it's gonna be doing something similar to this, right? So while you obviously analyze the bigger time frame from a DXY perspective, you've got all this weeks, all them weeks, right? Like I don't even count how many weeks that is, guys. But that's a lot of weeks. Now, remember, okay, it's 2014, but it doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't really matter because the market moves exactly the same, right? So for all them weeks, I would understand that DXY, I mean Euro is pretty much going to be doing that for all them weeks, right? Look up here, 2014. 2014 around 2011, 2014 around these levels, right? So the same thing again, you're going to see stuff like this, right? And then you're going to see that breakout that occurs here. See if this works out nice. Right? You're going to see that situation that occurs down here. Did he even push down? Didn't really push down, to be honest. All the way down to 90% down there. Wait, this area here is quite nice. There. But to be honest, go from the top, right? The bottom here, we can, like I always say, I like to see how it reacts from the bottom, but I'm not really too bothered about it as long as I've got support resistance on there. But you find a level where it works out clean. To me, that is an area where I can actually see that would have worked out clean for that situation. But as you can see from this area here, we finally changed structure, and then we've started to break head, shoulder, shoulder. So once I'm on DXY, I'm like, well, that market was this area here, right? So I kind of clocked what the hell was going to occur here, and I knew that this area here, we would have had a push up towards that area, towards that area there, right? For it to continue start pushing up towards the upside, right? And that is a trade from literally January, right? And that happened pretty fast, to be honest. Well, 2014 to 2015, that market Euro USD was just bullish, and you can see on Euro USD, DXY was just bullish, sorry, and on Euro USD it was just bearish, pretty much for the whole year, right? Pretty much for the whole year. So by you analyzing DXY, you can actually get into very good setups, right? That you might be analyzing Euro USD on a small time frame, but you see DXY on a bigger time frame. You're like, yo, there's a very good potential this market is actually going to keep pushing up and rising up, right? To a point where now you're catching that monster trade on Euro USD. Okay, so you're using it as an extra confluence for you to hold that trade and stay in that trade, right? Because let's be real, you doesn't want to hold a trade for a year, right? That's just continuously making money, right? You're in the right trend, right? The same way that I got to down here again, this was basically the same thing, right back to the bottom of the market. That area is not pushing down. We've got this area here where we find a breakout. Right, we change structure, double bottom gets confirmed. You're telling me, and it's it's a funny inverse and shoulder, put a W here, and he's continuing to do the same thing all the way to 9% rule. Like, look, that's from like 2021, 2022. And it's still going because what? Because we are in this uptrend. So where we are right now, again, right? Again in the markets. Look, we're pretty much back at where we was down here. It's done a double bottom there. It's pretty much a double bottom here, right? So what do I want to see? I want to see continuation of this market, right, to keep pushing up and find its way up here, break this, right? Just like how he's done there, to come back down, go back up to that area there, right? So, okay, cool. Trump is in market. He's going to probably want to push. Sometimes you got to think of it in perspective and realistic ways. Like, Trump is in the market. He's not going to want dollars to push down. Like, he's super proud. Like, he's proud of him being in that stage, right? So if that market then starts to break above that zone there, you already know what you should be looking for. If the market breaks above that zone, you already know, okay, we're going to get into this zone. If the market breaks that zone, you should be confident enough to understand the market is going to go towards the top of the trend, because that's what it's been doing. Okay, like you actually can trade DXY, guys. You can actually trade DXY on Forex, right? But you can also understand if the dollar strength is going to go up, this allows you to invest into American companies, stocks, so on and so forth, because they're going to go up with it, right? Because the only way for the dollar to go up is that the America has to do well in business, in people getting more jobs, and so on and so forth. America has to actually be on the rise, right? So in order for in order for America to be on the rise, the companies have to do well, because then there's more jobs, they're paying more people are spending money, so on and so forth. So it's like it's really common sense, right? Especially if you are looking on the charts and you're looking at DXY and you can see exactly what he has been doing, right? So I'm not out here going, oh yeah, DXY is going to be blowing down and doing this. No, DXY has completed when like 1, 2, 3, right? We came back down towards that area, Fibonacci A, B, wait to see how it reacts from C, and then wait for it to give us that confirmation in order for us to go in for them buys, right? So we're going to take them these things off, okay? So yes, it might take a year, it might take months to that, but listen, this is the best time to actually really be looking at the XY and seeing what America's doing, where companies are, because you are about to make a lot of flipping money, right? What's everything happened, especially in stocks, what's happened? A lot of stocks went down, a lot of portfolios went down, a lot of rate what is it, rate tax or cut tax or rate, whatever it is, a lot of it went down. The cut loads of rates, sorry. So if the market is going to blow down, it's just going to liquidate loads of people for it to continue pushing up, right? Inflation, all of these things, right? So DXY, where it is right now, it's actually a beautiful spot for the next year, guys. I'm being deadly serious. It's a next spot. It's a best spot for understanding what you can do in the next year. And in 2026, you can actually become a millionaire by understanding this information and understanding what the hell is actually going to happen on here, which we've already got our first initial understanding. Look at this market is broken outside of that. We've got a pretty much double bottom. The market is just doing like a 1, 2, 3. If it reacts from this and then it's going to blow up to there, right? Funny head, shoulder. Is it doing potentially another shoulder? Who knows? We'll see when the market breaks out of that. If it gets back above here, you still got weeks and weeks and weeks before it gets to up there, right? But once it gets to here, don't say to yourself, oh, well, why didn't I invest in this? Or why didn't I do this? Or why didn't I do that? Because you had the information. The information is right in front of you. Okay? Right. Cool. Just look at the previous time, what happened. Right? It's pretty much doing the same thing. Right? And it's actually funny enough, it's pretty much the same ass move. Da 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 da. Breaks all down. There, then change. Da 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 da. Breaks down, now change. It's like pretty much the same ass move. So if I'm seeing in weeks the market just dancing, I've got a pretty good idea that the market's going to want to reach back to the highest point. If it gets to the highest point, we're broken out of the structure, we might get a retrace towards the trend line and this area of support. Whether it's outside or not, that's around, it's gone again, right? Same thing what happened here. Got to the highest point, came back down a bit, then decided to push up. So as you can see, it's pretty much the same kind of move that is occurring. And it's ready for 2026 because of all the inflation and so on and so forth. Okay. So you can use this DXY, this special chart, to make money on Euro USD, on other forex pairs like GBP USD, on stocks, right? So on and so forth. Is everybody with me? Are you with me, guys? Perfect, perfect, perfect. Right? Perfect, perfect, perfect. Right? So yeah, so this is pretty nice how it's moving, right? I don't like a trend that's moving so far up like this, right? A trend that moves like this is dangerous, right? You do this, right? A trend like this, I don't like these trends that move so far, like very hard. But when it's a trend like this is like very, very chill. Like it's very, you know, doing its thing, relaxing, right? And we also got this area here, and obviously we've got finally breakout. We've got a retest there, right? And then it's back down. It's just moving in steps really, and giving its time. It needs to get, to be honest, it needs to get to here. It hasn't actually got there yet, right? So that area was respecting it. So this is my next situation that I want to see occur. We've already had it there one time here. We had a breakout. This is the second time we had a breakout there. There, you could have had it like that, or there's something in here that you could have. We'd have to go to small time frame to see that. And then obviously this would be the third time that the market is obviously doing it. So I expect a big ass move, right? I always say, yes, we will have the one, the two, and then the three, and we'll get a big move, right? But I'm canceling this out now while the market is there. So I'll call that a one, a two, and then this will be the three, which can give us more of that move, right? That we actually really, really want. Okay. So you see here, this is more of that trend that I don't like. Is like really, really like up, right? I don't like trends like this, right? Because they'll move far up and then absolutely tank it down, right? So when you see the market moving up like this, like boom, 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 and then you get nice change of structure, head, shoulder, shoulder, like that coming all the way back down here. Now look how many months you could have been able to eat off this whole, just this one line here could have ate from like this is 1 month shooting star, right? 1 month shooting star, Maribozu, right? Head and shoulder pattern. You got it to there. Like 1 month, 2 month, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like you got 2 years basically, 2 years of absolutely make money because it was just like, yo, I'm going with my system. It's broke out of the trend, went to 90% bro, at least down here, right? Boom. 2 years you're holding the setup. That could have been Euro USD as well. That could have been DXY. That could have been some stocks. That could have been whatever. Now listen, I was born here, right? But whatever happened here, that must have been the 1985 COVID or something, right? So what happened here is a situation that obviously I don't know. I wasn't born there, but you can see by looking back at old times, you can see how this market actually moves, right? And how you can actually be in certain trades and opportunities in order for you to actually gain. Right. That's why I always say to people, right, don't be in these charts crying and complaining. When you're crying and complaining, that's when you've just made another. That's literally when another trade is being ready for you to go. Okay, so I've flipped an account before, right, from like 150 pound to like 7K, right, and this is actually what happened. I got into a setup, right? I put in £100, right? The £100 blow it, right? Absolutely blow it, right? And the market went to just take the early sellers out, right? So I clocked it. I was like, okay. Boom. I wasn't in emotion, right? This literally probably 30 minutes later, I put another £150 in, and then that trade bomb went all the way to 7K, and I got out decent, happy, right? But what if I was like, oh my God, crying, oh, dude, what's going on? You know what I mean? I would have never, ever got into that setup. I would have been watching the setup, right, that I initially got into. But because I didn't get back in or didn't trust what I was doing, I would have been actually crying properly while once the market was bleeding, right? So the trust in your analysis and the trust in your system, it's so important. And it doesn't mean that just because you hit a stop loss or just because the market went and stopped you out, that you wasn't in the right position, right? So remove all types of emotions. Please remove all types of emotions. It's super important. Okay. There's two people missing here. I think Spang, Isaiah, Casper, Udit, Marina, Kaya. Then we've got Prabmot, who's not here. There's one more person. I don't know who it is.
I think it's my
Uh,
partner Benji. Is he on here?
yeah, Benji's here. So
Oh,
Benji's
okay.
here. It's Hayden. It's Hayden.
Oh, Hayden. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Does everyone come and teach us something?
She literally said, yeah.
Listen, we can learn from everybody. Trust me.
No, she's so smart.
That's good, man. That's good. Well done, man. Doing your thing with her.
Thank you.
Right. So, guys, we've obviously gold. Right. Last thing I want to talk about before we head off, just because we markets opening today. Just be easy where we are right here. Right. I'm still very much not convinced that has broken that area. And I'm chilling. I'm chilling on it. Uh, Now I do know we've got a fake out here. We've got a fake out here, right? The market also can do a fake out here and then decide to push back up, right? It does this quite a lot as well, a lot of times, just to come and take these people out, right? And then decide to push up. So be very mindful of that. Right now, we're still very much above that area of trend, above the trend line that I've got there, and we are also above the 4200, which has not broken. Now we have to wait and see how the market opens. But for me, I'm not sweating that. Like honestly, if the market comes all the way down here, I will not sweat, right? Because I know it would want to do that. So that would mean it will slap the buyers, will slap these buyers that got in early, and then these sellers that are in this trade, right? They're going to be gassed and then slap them too, right? So just understand how sometimes the market will manipulate to move a certain way and then finally starts moving where he wants to go. We're still pretty much in this situation here, right? Which is impulse correction, right? But we can have wicks that do dance around just to give us a little bit extra, right? This is a cop, right? We can see, like I said to you guys, I like to see the market obviously pushing up and then push down. And obviously we can see that's how the market moves. It's like doing this dance at the bottom. And we finally got this nice push and it's come back to retrace. Now we need to get that momentum back around here to go up. So if you see that momentum is building back up above, right? Building back up above here, right? Don't be scared to get in this trade and then actually hold this trade to get to here and then hold it to go towards the top. You will make a decent amount of money, right? Understanding also we've got a nice head, nice shoulder, and then it wants to come to a right shoulder. And if he says no to that right shoulder, it would definitely push back towards this level here. And because we've already hit it a few times, right? A few times, it's gonna want to blow up, right? There's no way it's going to do a triple top, right? Which is a triple top where it is right now, right? And not completely blow all the way down here, right? So if anything, if the market respects this level very well, right, I'm seeing this market blow up, because that means there's not enough sellers in the market. The market doesn't even want to go down there, right? So that triple top is an absolute scam, right? So anyhow, the market does completely what I've just said, right? And then let's just say we get this breakout here of that head and shoulder, head and shoulder pattern, right? And it does, and it's a failed. Guys, this market is looking to go boom, right? All the way to up here, okay? All the way to up there, pretty much, right? I actually think gold is gonna want to do something just before Christmas, right? So just be mindful. Now I do know, like, obviously, if we stay underneath these areas here, right? Underneath these areas, we can come back down to the downside, right? So it's very good opportunities for us to get into trades, right? We can actually catch a decent 1,000 pip trade from down here, or even further amount of pips with the upside. So the upside's a little bit more than the downside, right? But either way, you can really make good money, right? If you just stay patient to actually understand what's going on, right? Like I've said to you guys before, right? You don't have to get in early here, right? You can get into a trade where the market pushes up, comes down, breaks a trend, right? You could be getting here to go towards the upside. So you would get in here somewhere, right? That's for 2020, right? So if you can find yourself getting into an early setup, okay, cool. But be patient to understand how the market is going to move here. If the market then obviously, let's say, pushes below, pushes up, comes back down, stays underneath here, I'd want to see like a 1, 2, 3 here, Fibonacci from A to D, staying underneath this area of this trend. And then I'll be able to try and catch a trade as it's breaking these lows to go down here. And then I'll catch pretty much just below the 4,200 towards these areas here, right? And catch a decent, pretty much, how many pips is that? Maybe like 700, 800 pips to down these to 9% rule. So you got very two good setups that you don't have to scalp, you don't have to intraday. You can just hold them setups and trust what you are seeing. But like I said, my bias is buys, right? For right now. Not just because I'm in the trade, because of what the market is telling me. But if the market does otherwise, bro, best believe I'm also going to be taking themselves and making money towards the downside, right? I've got no qualms whether the market is going to go left, right, center, to Congo, to Colombia, to Brazil, to America. I'm on that flight, right? I'm on that flight because I've already understood what the market, the potentials of the market. There's two potentials: break above here, stay up here, change structure to go up, or stay underneath here, dance, whatever, understand what's going on here to go down to the downside. Simple, done, right? One setup, I'm good for Christmas. Okay, cool. So be patient this week, but you already know what's going on, right? Be alert when the market opens. Please, please, please be alert when the market opens, because it can give you something good for you to understand. Now, I'm not saying jump into a trade straight away. Wait to see how the market moves, right? We definitely want to see that market stay above that area there, especially that trend and outside of that area there, that zone. And then we can then decide that we can get into that setup to go towards the upside. Okay. Understand also, if the market stays underneath that area, we will pretty much have like a descending, and then that market may blow down to go up, right? Something like so. Okay. So respectfully, don't be out here just, but be out here to trust what you've got going on, to understand this situation here. So I'm going to slap this all the way to the top here. I know we've got one down here somewhere, but I'm going to slap this towards the top. And And you know, the one thing that I kind of want to see also, because it has not actually happened yet, right? This market has not actually gone to 78, right? I'm very critical when it comes to gold, and I want it to go to 78, right? I'm very critical with it because it's like, bro, what happened at 61? Absolutely nothing happened at 61, right? That's not even the start. That's on a daily time frame, weekly time frame, right? What happened? What happened here on a weekly time frame? Yes, we got a little doji. So next week is potentially a key pattern or a key candle for us to understand if that's going to give us this bullish bearish pressure towards this downside, right? So the month is nothing. We ain't really got anything on the month. And then obviously, like I said, daily is nothing. 4 hour, nothing. Right? It's nothing. This is nothing. Right? I like to see like a very good market slaps here, right? And then gives us like a nice push down, and then it knows what it's doing. Like you can actually feel the movement of the market saying, "Nah, bro, that's definitely respecting that 61 level." Without even start, the next boom is gone. Right? We didn't even get to that 78. Right? I wanted to touch 78 if it wants to come down. So the fact that it's just dancing around 78, to me, like, bro, you're trying to take the piss because these from there to there, right? It's not much for gold to just go and slap there or even push above to come back down. It's not much. You're dancing just below it, right? So for me, it's like I'm looking at it sus. One eye's like squinted eyes. I'm like, look at this, right? Look at this idiot. Look at what he wants to do. Okay, so be very chill and very patient with this pair, as we can definitely get. I do believe we can get a decent push to the upside. Very frankly, okay. And we are in the middle of that trend. So I've got that trend again, right? Of course, I've spoken to you guys before how we had obviously this trend down here as well. But this trend right now, it's not doing anything that I actually want to see. It was doing something here, right? It was doing something here. So now, because the market is pretty much just doing whatever it's doing there, I'm gonna delete that because that's making sense to me. I'm gonna look at what's making sense to me right now, right? And I can add support, my resistance, and so on and so forth. I don't need to have a trend all the time, right? But I can see definitely from these top points here, we had very good reactions from there. Okay, so if you can see, it's like this is pretty much the middle of a trend, right? An uptrend. So I would want to see pretty much this situation occurring. Let me draw my was it bars pattern? I'll pretty much want to see something like this, right? So where that price is obviously pushed down, I'd want to see something like this, right? Which really looks very pretty, right? Well, it's not about looking pretty. I'll be real. Not about looking pretty. It's about it making more sense, right? Because that to me will make more sense, right? And then here it's taking these highs out. Sorry, it's taking these highs out. Then I don't mind it find its way back down here. No problem. I've been able to get into a setup after the breakout that I'll keep talking to you guys about. We finally break this area. We've got a nice cup handle. Marcus continues pushing up. Bomb gets to the top. Now he decides to do whatever he needs to do. And look, this is pretty much the 25th of the 25th of. Wait, that's not the 25th. That's the 15th, right? pretty much the 15th. Let's see how the market moves, isn't it? But wait for confirmation. Please, please, please wait for confirmation, right? Because all I see here, right, I see a perfect just flag pattern, right? Perfect flag pattern, impulse, correction, and this will be the next impulse. Does everybody see that? Does everybody see what I'm drawing right now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So be patient. If first time I see this tool, I did this tool the other day as well, but now you know the tool, you can use it. But listen, don't get it twisted. Some people can use this tool like in a very negative way, right? Where they'll just dash it anywhere. But for me, like look at that area there. That's kind of what I've drew, right? And that's kind of what I'm seeing it to occur, right? So it's about understanding how the pattern moved, right? So let's do this one. From up here, what did the market do? Pushed up and came back down to there, right? If I move this across, right, it's pretty much doing the same thing, right? Now, the market, obviously, we know that the market can give us more of a 1, 2, 3. What you can see there is pretty much the same thing, right? Right? You can't even tell. So understand that these markets are always moving the same, right? So because we're in an uptrend, I can clone them bits out just to get understanding what's going on. Even if I draw from the bottom to the top there, right? Yes, it's not perfect, right? But you can have an idea to see what the market is going to do. Now, you can see the market did not go to the top because there was an area of support, right? That was an area of resistance, sorry. And we released from that area, right? Where was it? Right. Markets actually retraced from that area, came back down, but it's still in consolidation, right? So the next point that I want to see is this move towards the upside, which this works out much cleaner, much cleaner because it's just impulse correction, and I want to see that next impulse there, right? Like so. Okay, let's see how the market moves. But you know, market is the market. We have to wait for confirmation, and then go from the confirmation. Okay, guys. Julio, Julio. Do you have any questions, guys? Any questions, guys? Before we go, I'll be real. When I ask for questions, ask questions. It can be as silly as it wants. It can be anything. If you don't have questions, oh, okay, cool. Say no more, right? But it's good to ask questions because you can learn something from something that you're actually really thinking about. Okay, but if you don't, say no more. So if anybody has questions, go ahead and ask. If you don't, let me know. No questions from you, Same again. I did say we're gonna do a quick session, but we've gone over a little bit. Guys, listen, we don't have long left. We've got literally pretty much 4 days left, right? So we're the last 4 days, I'm really gonna turn up the heat. So I need you guys to turn up the heat as well. I need you guys to come ready, be ready to answer questions, be ready to talk on the mic, right? Because trading isn't just about trading behind closed doors. Trading is about also elevating, also being a person that is able to speak, right? To not be shy and Show me your charts, show me this, show me that, right? Because that's actually elevating you as a human being, as a person, right? And that's the one thing that I've always learned throughout my whole journey, right? Is that every single stage I was learning something and I was grabbing something and I was putting it to myself, right? And I remember I started YouTube literally pretty much 2015, right? But I didn't follow it through because you get people that are like you get people who who kind of shut your dreams down, or you do things with people that they don't even have the ability to continue, or they don't even see themselves becoming something, right? But for me, what I always do and what I'm actually good at is elevating other people, because I will be able to make you think about your life. I'll make you understand that, look, we are living this one life. There's nothing different between me and you, right? The only thing is that I've just dedicated a lot of time towards this craft. I've dedicated a lot of time towards every single craft I've done, right? Like Vika rapping, right? I was able to rap cars on my own. This is a 3-4 man job, right? 2, 3, 4 man job, right? You cannot, let's say you're doing a bumper. If you guys know about rapping, right? And maybe you, just to get a quick understanding, you can look at a rapping video on YouTube and you will see that it takes two people to do this, to do that, whatever, right? But I was able to just get on the craft, be on the craft, because I had to get things done. So I learned how to do things myself, right? And even with like YouTube or recording videos or speaking in front of people, I never actually ever told anyone this, but back in the days in like 2020, 2014, 2013, 2014, I got into a network marketing company, right? It was like a big ass movement. It was like American company. They came down and there was a lot of young people in the room. And, I've always been like, how can I explain it? Like out there. So I'll be like, yo, cool. It is what it is. I want to talk. I want to talk. You know what I mean? Because you had like these members who will talk in front of like a full room, guys. Like a room full of like 250 people, 300 people, right? And you go up and you tell your story. You'll tell them what you want to do, what you want to achieve in this network marketing company. And that did a lot for me. That did so much for me to be able to speak in front of so many people. And trust me, it is nerve-wracking at the start, right? But the amount of like buzz that you get from it, from actually speaking in front of people, whether it's just in a room like this, right? You get a lot from it. You might be nervous at first, your voice might be crackling, and you might be like stuttering and so on and so forth. But in the end, guys, I'll be real. You feel so good that you was able to be in front of so many people, and these people are being engaged to you, right? And that kind of taught me a lot. And no, it wasn't selling bots. It was something called Vima. What and the revolution was kind of like YPR, Young People Revolution. That's kind of something I was talking about, like in the meetings and stuff. But yeah, you can even look it up, called VMAT. It's like we were selling like um, healthy energy drinks with like healthy supplements and so on and so forth. And to be honest, yeah, I didn't even make money. There was people that made money in that, right? But we all know in network marketing is who comes before, who comes after. Da, 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 da. It's kind of like MLM now. What these people be doing? Like I've met a few people outside, right? Right, like I've gone for dinner, I've gone for lunch, right? And I've spoken to someone, like for example, I've spoken to this lady before. She was like, she's a lot older than me. She's like 40, I think it is, or 48 or something. I can't remember. And she says, oh, I'm a trader. So I'm like, oh damn, like because I didn't sound trader. I'm like, oh damn, you're a trader. Wow, like what do you trade in that? Oh, trade a bit of gold, do this, da, da, da. Okay. And then I started asking a bit more, and she's like, oh yeah, but it's in a group, like it's like a networking group, network marketing group. But in the network marketing group, like we've got like these teachings. I'm like, wait a minute, you're not trading, you're not trading Like, you need to actually have your own money in your own account. Right? So now network marketing has changed so much. You can make so much money, but I would not want to sell something that it's not that thing exactly, right? Because some of these people are using the tools within the network marketing, they're making money, whereas these people are not, right? So, but yeah, well, it's powerful to speak. That's what I was getting at. It's powerful to speak, and that did quite a lot for me. I will see if, sorry, I'll see if I've got old pictures and old videos where I'm actually speaking in front of these people. I'm super, super young, and we had to wear suits and stuff like that. So it was actually sick because you learn a lot, and I was able to meet some good people there as well who have the same mindset, right? So yeah, man, be ready for next week. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Sunday. Make sure that you are active on the charts earlier on this week because we can get really good potential moves, and risk well, and don't be scared to get into trade when you see what the trade is doing, right? Like right now, I'll be honest, because the market has been moving in that consolidation period for so long, right? That we could even have like a nice flag pattern, which we have. We basically pretty much can have a flag pattern, right? So understand, if that flag pattern respects that very well, right, we can actually up towards the top of that trend, which I've explained, which is 4,400, right? So from where it is right now towards 4,400, that's pretty much 2,000 pips, right? Now, I'm not saying this just so that, you know, you can be gassed. What I'm saying is, if you can catch it correctly, if the market actually does that and confirms that flag pattern, yo, you can catch good amount of pips and make good amount of money before Christmas. All right. All right. Love, peace, and I'll speak to you guys tomorrow. Yeah. Have a good evening.